Well, we're nearly there, NJ. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing WrestleMania 24, of course. And for all you indie nerds out there, it's even got CM Punk on the back. We're the British Fist, of course. Mr. Parkin here. And here, it's, no, not Little Jimmy. It's NJ.
What's up?
Indeed. Make sure you subscribe up above, like this video, and comment your thoughts on WrestleMania 24 down in the comment section below.
Well, you contact us and link which box below.
I wonder what you were doing there, Andrew. I thought you were directing traffic or directing YouTubers.
Oh, there's people there.
There's no planes coming here, brother. But to be honest, we were outdoors in this WrestleMania, and it's when we first turned on the TV, I think it was raining, and I was like, "What the fuck? Rain at a WrestleMania? I mean, this is a first."
And the fact it's outside, again, give it a different approach. Yeah. But as we get in through this review, there was some things they could do because they were outside, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Yes.
The fireworks and stuff.
That was a big example of it, yes.
Yeah, indeed. So this WrestleMania opened up with JBL versus Finley. And this was probably... Do you remember the whole McMahon illegitimate son storyline and how bad that was?
Your son... is not, it's the whole eternity thing, trying to pick out who it is, cancel all the wrestlers down. It came down to Horton.
This was one of the worst storylines ever. I mean, I want to talk about the match, but this whole storyline's super stupid, and it turned out that Finley was the dad, and JBL was feuding with Finley, and it led to this Belfast Brawl match, which opened the card. There was plenty of weapon use. It felt like a sort of old-school WCW hardcore match for me.
Well, in the past WrestleMania reviews, I've always said that JBL is a strong heel, putting people over. And in this, again, Finley weren't someone that's going to go far in the WWE.
He was a head booker, though.
Yeah, but in this opinion, this weren't really the big match I was expecting JBL to be in, because he's a strong heel, putting people over. So for this match, it was kind of a bad opener. But the weapon usage, again... made up for the fact that this wasn't going to be the best match to open a card.
Thank God that Hornswoggle storyline just fell apart after this match. But it was what it was, a Belfast Brawl. JBL picks up the win. There was a bit of weapon usage in there, which helped the entertainment value of the show. Not a bad opener in my opinion. I didn't think it was terrible. It wasn't a bad opener. It was good for what it was. Belfast Brawl. It got about 9 minutes, so not too long, not too short.
And this was really the start of Hornswoggle's growth in the WWE.
Growth. Well, I like the way you use that word, growth.
To be big used in the WWE, but again, many people have different opinion of Hornswoggle, but this was just the start of it.
Oh, Hornswoggle. We had the Money in the Bank ladder match next. John Morrison, who was the tag champ. I think Miz had to miss this WrestleMania. CM Punk, Mr. Kennedy, Carlito, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, who was the US champion, versus Chris Jericho, who was the Intercontinental champion. So first thing I noticed from this is we weren't getting no tag team championship match at this WrestleMania. And we weren't getting any mid-card belt at this WrestleMania. And I usually enjoy seeing at least one mid-belt defense at WrestleMania, but I do like the fact they're putting the mid-card champions in the Money in the Bank, because it does give them a chance to go further than their mid-card belts.
Yeah, this was a nicely stacked one. Again, I'm happy who was in this, because it had all the kind of movers in the ring, that had good different techniques, and that's the way this match was built, and all the wrestlers in it. It then got us a bit of everything in this match.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of mid-carders in this match, didn't you? Like Morrison was a mid-carder, Punk was a mid-carder, Kennedy was a mid-carder, Carlito, Benjamin, MVP, they're all mid-carders. Jericho was really the only veteran in this match, and I think this helped this match because you had a lot of movers in there, like you said, so you were going to get a lot of high spots, which we did in this match, Shelton Benjamin being one of those guys. And, you had a lot of guys here you could see as future main eventers, you know what I mean? Not quite there yet, but if given the Money in the Bank, they could have some kind of title run, especially guys like Kennedy and, MVP and people like that.
And that's the thing, with Money in the Bank, obviously, a big match that obviously is going to help the future of the wrestlers and that. You do expect this to be a match to get people over. Something with these wrestlers in there, these are wrestlers that we did actually want to see progress. Some of them may have not done up to WrestleMania as far as they could have done. But this was a good starting point for a possibility for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this Money in the Bank match, it was your typical Money in the Bank ladder match. Very exciting, a lot of high spots. There was a lot of good stuff in this Money in the Bank. I did enjoy this Money in the Bank a lot.
When it comes to Money in the Bank, it's like the weapon usage. You do see moments, and that is what makes them exciting.
It's a spot fest, that's what it is.
So exactly, I really enjoyed this match, and I think this was a good Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, the highlight for me really was Matt Hardy returning and beating up MVP when he was just about to get the briefcase. That was a nice little highlight. They brought him back because they were both feuding at the time, weren't they?
And that was a good spot, obviously, because obviously with MVP in Money in the Bank, it weren't able for them to have a match. So the fact that he came and interfered it was a good moment to obviously continue their feud.
They hyped up their feud a bit more, didn't it? And essentially in this, CM Punk wins his first of 2 Money in the Banks as a face. If you look at now what he's like as a heel, you kind of wonder why he never really won it as a heel rather than a face, if you know what I mean.
You do question it, and obviously we'll get to more about CM Punk's wins later on.
Yeah, and we had I think this was a bit of it was an indie nerds jizz in your pants moment when they got I bet the indie nerds are really, really on the back of this one, weren't they? CM Punk winning Money in the Bank. Yeah!
Their boy winning the Money in the Bank, then progressing on to cashing in, and very good for CM Punk.
Just a shame the other boy, Daniel Bryan, never really got that proper push, did he? So the Money in the Bank line match, an exciting match. CM Punk winning as a face. But, you know, we see where he is now. So
that's true.
As a heel, of course. The Hall of Fame this year, we wanted to mention this Hall of Fame, Andrew, because not only did we have Rocky Johnson, and we had that whole thing with Rock making fun of Cena. Just want to make a special note here. The Rock Cena feud technically started at this Hall of Fame induction ceremony, didn't it?
Because you had the franchise one more match, you had the whole competition between Cena and The Rock, so there's a lot going in this that obviously the WWE might have realised that the fans wanted to see this match. They just progressed as the years went on.
You had, Rocky Johnson, Mae Young, a legendary female in the WWE, the Briscoe brothers, Gordon Soley in there, and most importantly, Ric Flair, who was in a match at this WrestleMania. And his induction at the Hall of Fame was very emotional, and the fact that he was in Hall of Fame, it kind of gave away the result of the match, but it didn't take away from the story and the emotion of it, which we'll be moving on in a minute to.
And there was people that we were thinking back at the time who could have inducted him, but the right person, Triple H's long-term friend, put him into the Hall of Fame. And then, again, this is one of the Hall of Fames that I really enjoyed, and it's a Hall of Fame that obviously did the right things and had good people going into the Hall of Fame.
After that, we had a SmackDown versus Raw Battle of Brand Supremacy. We had William Regal, who was the Raw GM, and Teddy Long, player, who was a SmackDown GM. It was Batista for the SmackDown brand versus Umaga on the Raw brand. I'm surprised this match didn't get longer. It only got about 7 minutes. For two guys, like especially Batista, who's such a bigger stars, surprised it's only got 7 minutes. I was really disappointed.
With two big guys going against each other, you do expect a brawl, you do expect a big fight between these two, and 7 minutes it accomplished what it needed to, but more time would have made the match more stronger for the two big guys. And,
you know, I mean, you got Umaga there, who really didn't give a shit about brand, did he? He was just, he didn't give a shit about the brands, did he? But, I mean, the match, like, it was, to me, it just seemed like another way of getting these two on the card, but it's a battle of brand supremacy. At WrestleMania, we get those quite a lot. So the finish was botched, which I kind of think took a little bit away from the match. To me, it was just a kind of filler match in a way. It just didn't seem like the best way to use one of your biggest stars, Batista and Umaga.
And even though it's a way to get them onto the card, at the same time, they're two big guys, probably a monster on Raw versus monster on SmackDown. Oh, yes. So again, put them against each other. It was a good match in that aspect, but again, the ending, obviously picking up Umaga is going to be hard.
Oh, yes.
Overall, I was satisfied with this match because it did what it needed to.
Okay, we'll move on then to the ECW Championship match. One thing I want to say, before we go into this, the dark match of this year's WrestleMania was a Kane winning a dark match battle royal to get this shot. And the really funny thing about this was the ECW commentators were saying, oh, it's so proud that we're getting our WrestleMania moment. And then Vince says, fuck that, this match is only going 10 seconds. You're only getting 10 seconds of TV time, motherfuckers.
The thing I want to say first is the dark match. Kane was in the final with Mark Henry, two WWE wrestlers instead of Kane and a ECW. But overall that, Kane's won that, now he comes to this. And oh my god, there was Chavo being ready to be the big Ben wants saying, come on, the ref's saying, no, look, he turns around, chokeslam for the 1, 2, 3.
It was the shortest match in WrestleMania history. This was Vince's way of saying, fuck ECW, I'm burying that company, wasn't it? Oh, God.
Oh, dear. Now Kane's the champ, went on, obviously, with that belt as soon as he died, but again, it was just a funny moment for this WrestleMania.
Kane squashing Chavo in 10 seconds, the quickest match in WrestleMania history. I think the next match, though, we must calm down for because it was a very serious match. Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels in a career-threatening match. Let's first quickly talk about the build. We have Vince McMahon saying that, Ric Flair, if he lost it, he would, have to retire. And Flair was actually booked really strong going into this, wasn't he? He won matches against, MVP, Mr. Kennedy, and he was booked really strong. I think that really added to this match a lot because you had Ric Flair, who was being booked strong, so you can kind of believe he could win this, even against the Shawn Michaels. But it's one of those matches, you had Shawn Michaels comparing, taking Yeller out to the back and shooting him, and when he's down, and it was just a really good story, really going in, wasn't it, between two legends?
Well, the way they built this up, obviously Ric Flair going through all these different kind of wrestlers, getting to where we went through Triple H, MVP, and all these other wrestlers to build up to this big spot against Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels being Mr. WrestleMania, taking out Ric Flair, who's had a big career in the WWE. Again, this match was right, it was on the spot, it gave WrestleMania its big defining match, and I really was looking forward to this when it happened.
Problem, NJ. You remember at WrestleMania 18 when Hogan and Rock wasn't the main event? And it really should have been. Well, in my opinion, I couldn't believe this was in the middle of the card. I don't think... Main event, probably not. But in terms of the moment, I mean, this WrestleMania will be remembered for this. WrestleMania 18 will be remembered for Rock Hogan. And it really had to question the decision of having this right in the middle of the card. Just putting that out there. I think that's a point we do need to make in this review. That it was right in the middle of the card. Probably should have been a bit further up if you're going to have Ric Flair, a legend like Ric Flair, end his career and everything. Just saying.
Well, the way I see this, the WWE had plans for this. They had a big story built up to it. They had two big names. So yes, the place could have been moved higher up to show importance to this. But overall, the match itself, as much as it was important, should have been higher up. The match itself was pretty good, and I was into this match because of how they performed against each other.
I mean, Ric Flair obviously wasn't the best worker in the ring anymore. He was starting to botch a lot of the times. But this is one of those examples where you don't need to be great. You don't need to be great at wrestling to really get this match over. The storytelling element and the emotion that was into this is what makes it such a great match, really, isn't it?
It was, and yeah, you made the point about Ric Flair not being able to wrestle that good, but I think Shawn Michaels helped him to look good in this match, and that's exactly what Shawn Michaels does.
Yeah, I mean, Shawn Michaels broke his ribs, I think, in this match. He was bumping all over the place with Ric Flair to make him look good, and it really did help the match. Emotional storytelling, especially the moment at the end where Ric Flair says, I love you, and and all that, and then obviously he finishes him off, and then you get the standing ovation for Ric Flair afterwards. Just one of those moments, just one of those WrestleMania matches that you just have to remember, because it's Ric Flair's last WrestleMania. It was a very emotional match, and for all those reasons, it was just the highlight of the pay-per-view for me, personally.
That's the thing that we want to say about this match. There's loads of spots, like Dan said, the announce table, the Shawn Michaels first stopping before he did the switching music, before actually doing it later on, the figure fours. It drew so much. The crowd were getting behind this. They were cheering both of them. And obviously, at the very end, we get the Shawn Michaels knowing that this is going to be the end, and he just did it. And then at the end, you see him, how sorry he is, and just can't believe what he's just done. So it's a really heartwarming end, and obviously a great overall match.
Totally agree. It's just a shame that Ric Flair couldn't end his career on such a high, and he had to go to TNA, wasn't it? Really had probably one of the best career-ending matches and stories, and other than probably HBK and in 26, and he sort of went off to TNA.
Well, three things about Ric Flair: the big career, Hall of Fame, WrestleMania. He had everything going for him in the WWE. The fact that he went over to TNA really makes me think that you've had everything going for you, a good finish in your wrestling career. Moving on to TNA, yes, people may say, look what he's done in TNA and all that stuff.
I mean, it all came around because of the divorce of his wife, and he had to pay off the divorce, and that's why he went over there.
Sadly, again, the way he finished, it would have been worked out perfectly, but that's just Ric Flair for you. And
what can follow this great epic match? Beth Phoenix and Molina versus Maria and Ashley in a Playboy Bunny Mania Lumberjack match. That's a really great way to follow this epic match, really, isn't it?
It was. It got loads of the divas involved, so it got like divas into WrestleMania. But overall, it weren't the biggest, the best of matches. But again, it's just a way to get divas involved in WrestleMania.
And Santino and Snoop Dogg. But I really just didn't give a shit about this match. Who gives a shit? It was right after probably one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. And yeah, whatever. We'll move on to it. We'll move on. Randy Orton versus Triple H versus John Cena in a WWE title match. I think the little tagline of this would be Breakfast Club reunited. all wanting to be in the same match. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, there's two things I want to say. First, the build, again, the whole John Cena and Randy Orton thing, that was done correctly because of how they built up. Triple H and the Elimination Chamber and all that stuff building up to this. Again, this is just a way to get three fan favourites in a way in a match against each other. It got the fans to see their favourites wrestling, but at the same time, they're seen as three big guys that could have been in separate matches to make other big matches. But the card was pretty much stacked as it was.
They wanted to be in the same match because they wanted that main event spot.
To throw them in, yes, that's the way.
I mean, you had John Cena returning from injury at the Royal Rumble. He cashed in his WrestleMania match at No Way Out. And then this led to the whole thing being a triple threat match. I always wondered why the fuck this needed to be a triple threat. Like, honestly. You had Randy Orton going into the match and walking out of the match to the champion, which, in my opinion, was the right decision. I mean, that is the right decision, in my opinion, to have Orton win. It has to. I mean, he's the one... I mean, out of those three guys, he's the one guy that really hasn't had a title win at WrestleMania yet.
Well, you've got the two big guys, obviously. They're all big. I'm just saying, like, we had John Cena and Triple H, who had feud against each other. They've had all that. So the fact that them two are in a match with Orton and then giving him the defining win, I think that did really good for Randy Orton for this WrestleMania. And
the thing that gets me is the fact that they announced it would be a no DQ match. It was kind of like a bit out of the blue. And also, Orton, Triple H and Cena are the three biggest stars in WWE at this time. Am I correct?
They are indeed.
The match was not as good as it really should have been, in my opinion. It wasn't bad. It got about 14 minutes. I expected it to get more time, considering it was the Breakfast Club reunited. But, I mean, you had Orton getting the surprise win after punching Triple H in the head after his pedigree to Cena. And no one expected Orton to win, which is why I think it was the best move to make Orton win, personally. But considering the level of stature of these three guys and how much of a draw they are for the company, it wasn't as good as it really should have been, in my opinion. Just saying.
Again, it might not have been the best match, obviously, with these three wrestlers that can perform in the main event scene. But again, I think it was just more getting them on the card, giving the fans to see their
not putting over any young talent, brother.
Not in this WrestleMania, no.
Apart from Orton. But there we go. We'll move on. Floyd Money Mayweather versus Big Show in the biggest versus the best athlete, anything goes match. Let's talk quickly about Floyd Money Mayweather. The guy is small, obviously, small guy, welterweight, versus Big Show's a massive guy. The problem I have with this, right, I can understand WWE doing this from a media standpoint perspective. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was a big star at this point, going against Big Show. It was a kind of match which people may have wanted to see. But the whole dynamic for me was off. You had Floyd Mayweather, who was a cocky heel type, and he was coming in as the face. You know, and it just didn't work. And you had the whole thing with Mayweather and all his boys there, and it just didn't work for me.
Well, there's two things I want to say about this. Number one, I can see why they did it. Obviously, WWE being a big thing in the sport business for fans, they're giving a boxer a chance to appear in this to get more attention and that. Yeah. But the fact going towards the heel thing, Big Show I've always liked to say heel, but when it comes to this match, you can't really battle heel versus heel.
He was the face in this match, wasn't he?
So I guess fans turned on Mayweather. Face, yeah. So, but again, this is not a match I was not looking forward to that much because I thought it's another kind of match that is not built wrestlers. And the other problem is the time it got for this match. I just didn't think you see Big Show in other special matches, it was a lot shorter. So this match really went downhill.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially a special attraction match, wasn't it? With Big Show in it once again, a bit like Akabono and all that bullshit that he's been through. I feel sorry for Big Show because he has. I mean, kind of like those Cody Rhodes vignettes he's doing. He hasn't really had a WrestleMania moment, has he? A proper WrestleMania moment yet, and I do hope he gets one. Just not against my boy, of course. But I mean, the match itself kind of dragged a little bit. You had the whole thing with Mayweather's posse being there, and oh fuck that bullshit match. And Mayweather won with the knockout punch.
Big Show had his time against the boys. He had his match to look chance of winning, but they gave the win to Floyd using the brass knucks on Big Show, and that really took away my liking the match even more. Overall, I'm just kind of glad the match is finished and they moved on from this.
Yeah, I mean, Mayweather was the celebrity who was always going to win, really, wasn't he? He wasn't going to come in for, what, $20 million or whatever he got paid. I don't know whether that's the exact amount and do a job to Big Show, I'm just saying. But just the dynamic was off. I can understand the concept, but we wasn't really into it very much, and neither was the crowd, in my opinion. They were more on Big Show's side, even though he was supposed to be the fucking heel.
Pretty much.
Because Floyd Mayweather come in, like, you know, as a heel. He didn't even try to be a face in this match, did he? He was so heeled.
No, and it was just off, and I'm kind of glad they did this match, obviously the publicity and all that, but overall, I don't think much people really cared for this match.
It was similar to McMahon and Trump, and so it was just there to get buys, wasn't it, essentially? I mean, wrestling is a business, and you do try to get as much money as you can, so it did have a place on the card, it just wasn't very good. No. Main event of the evening, Edge versus Undertaker in a World Heavyweight Championship match. Last year, you had Taker going against Batista, and in my opinion, you had Taker going against the kind of next big main eventer on SmackDown, which was Edge, essentially, and This was a really good main event. I thought it was a good match.
Well, the way they built up to this match, and this being one of my favourite Take and Edge feud, it was really good. I like how they did this, and the fact they had like these two building up to Take unable to beat Edge to get the championship and build up to this WrestleMania match. I'm really looking forward to this, and they. Again, as we can see, they put on a great match.
I mean, you had Edge at Survivor Series interfering and costing Undertaker his title match against Batista at Hell in a Cell, in the Hell in a Cell match. So there's a lot of building to this match, and not only that, but after this, they feuded until SummerSlam 2008, and they had a great Hell in a Cell match. They always seem to have good matches. These two, they really did gel in the ring very well. Edge, you had the whole story in there being that Edge couldn't finish off Taker. Edge was trying to cement his legacy in the WWE. By getting a big WrestleMania win and ending that streak. Unfortunately, still no one has yet to do that, but Triple H could be doing it this year. And the match was really good. About 23, 24 minutes. It started off a little bit slow, but as the match went on, it got a lot better.
And that's the thing, because when it comes to a match like this, being the main event of WrestleMania, you do expect it to be good. And this match picked up, it got the way it needed to be. Edge obviously wanted to overcome Taker. Taker wanted to go for the belt. So the way this match was made during the match, all great spots, last rides, all those
dive over the top is always a favourite of mine.
There were so many great spots in this match, and obviously it was going to be Taker winning to continue his streak. But overall, this was just a great main event, and I really like how it went through. I
mean, if Taker... I mean, I'm really surprised the Triple Threat wasn't the main event, personally, but this was the correct main event, I feel, if you weren't going to have Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels as the main event. Just saying. You had Taker winning with the Hell's Gate, getting him to tap out, and afterwards Vicky would ban that move, wouldn't she? Oh, Vicky Guerrero.
Oh, and that was good. That continued the Taker Edge thing for a bit longer after. So it's interesting how they did this, how Taker his win, and they continue the feud. So overall, I just thought that the way they did this was really nicely done.
Yeah, indeed. Undertaker continuing his streak 16-0, I think. Overall thoughts on this WrestleMania then?
I'm quite satisfied with this. There was a lot going into this WrestleMania that obviously were the attractions and that. So I just thought it had a nice flow. Yes, they didn't have as much championships on the line, but the way they had the people in the right matches making this match happen, I was satisfied with this. I enjoyed it.
I mean, I don't think it drew as many buys as last year, but I think last year was really helped by Trump versus McMahon, which was massive. The attraction this year, Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show, didn't draw as much. It wasn't really that good, in my opinion, from a fan standpoint. The main event between Edge and Taker was good. The other title match I don't think was as good. But the highlight of the pay-per-view, Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, was massive highlight for me of this pay-per-view. The Money in the Bank again was very good. There was a couple of what I felt were filler matches in there, like the Divas match and the Brand Supremacy match, and maybe even the opener if you want to go that far. But you know, overall, it was a satisfying WrestleMania. I'd say it was a decent to good Mania in the fact that the matches that we wanted to deliver did deliver. So I can't complain too much about this WrestleMania. Didn't seem to be too much filler. Stuff seemed to be done correctly. Yeah, I mean, I'd give it like a sort of B-, something like that. I mean, it was a good WrestleMania, I thought.
I'm going to give it more towards a B, just because I was satisfied with it. The only thing I weren't satisfied with, which I'm just going to point out, which I didn't say in the review, was John Cena's entrance. Yeah, band playing, trying to get all lively, special John Cena, but that didn't work for me. It was just like,
The whole idea of having them three in a match just didn't work for me, to be honest.
That's not the point.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good WrestleMania. But definitely better than 23, I felt, which did have a lot of filler. This was definitely better than 23, and that Michaels versus Flair match, just goddamn, what a match that was! Just worth the price of the pay-per-view just to watch that one match and the emotion in that one. But anyway, make sure you get us your thoughts on this pay-per-view down in that comment section below. And my eyes are watering. I think that's just because I'm remembering that whole little Shawn Michaels and Flair thing that I got in that match. God damn, that was emotional. And that Hall of Fame ceremony. God damn, that's
very emotional indeed. Brought a lot of attention and feeling to this WrestleMania.
Yep.
And now what I'm going to say, people, is thank you for tuning in for another WrestleMania. This has been a good WrestleMania in our opinion as well. So from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, tune in for WrestleMania 25. Until next time, people, keep smiling and goodbye.